They all think she's the victim. They always do. Soft voice, trembling hands, perfectly timed tears. But they weren't in that house with us. They didn't see what she's capable of when no one's watching. And the scariest part isn't what she did to me. It's what she made me become in return. My wife glared at me, her voice slicing through the hallway like broken glass. If you walk out that door, don't you dare come back. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I just looked her in the eye and said, I won't. Then I did exactly what I said I would. I was leaning against the doorway of our bedroom, watching Eleanor throw clothes into a suitcase like someone in a rush to escape. It wasn't the usual black roller bag she used for quick overnight trips. No, this was the fancy one. The cream-colored luggage set she only brought out for vacations. The sight of it made something in my chest tighten. Another management summit? I asked, my voice coming out quieter than I expected. Eleanor, 32, didn't even bother to look at me. She just kept folding a silk blouse with practiced detachment. It's important quarterly planning. You know this, she said, like I was some inconvenience she had to deal with. I took a step forward. Yeah, I also know the hotel you're actually booked at is a 5-star resort. And the reservation has 2 names on it. Yours and Julian's. She froze. Just for a second. Then she straightened up slowly, brushing her hair over her shoulder. The look on her face wasn't guilt. It was annoyance, pure, simmering irritation that I had interrupted her perfect little plan. You've been going through my emails, she accused. I let out a short laugh. It was open on your tablet, left on the kitchen island. Either you wanted me to see it, or you're just that sloppy. She hissed, zipping the bag so hard it sounded like a warning. Julian is my mentor. My boss. This is a team-building exercise for senior staff. You're acting like a child. Child? I repeated, the word catching in my throat like ash. I'm not the one lying, Eleanor. I'm not the one packing lingerie for a team-building exercise. Just tell me the truth, I said quietly. She laughed then, a short, sharp, cruel sound that didn't sound like the woman I married. The truth? The truth is you're boring, Arthur. You're suffocating me with all this neediness. God, I can't deal with this energy before a big presentation. She grabbed her handbag and carried on. She was actually going to leave. Right then. Eleanor, I said, my voice finally firm. If you walk out that door to meet him, we're done. I'm not playing this game anymore. She stopped at the top of the stairs, turning just enough for me to see the twist of contempt on her face. No. You're done, she spat. I'm going to be successful, and I'm not going to be held back by your limp, pathetic jealousy. You hate it so much? You leave. And if you walk out that door, don't you dare come back. I am sick of looking at your miserable face. For a long moment, I just stared at her. This woman, this person I'd supported through her MBA, through late nights, through every step of her climb, now looked at me like I was dirt beneath her shoes. I nodded once. I won't. I walked past her, down the stairs, grabbed my car keys from the bowl by the door, picked up my laptop bag, and walked out. I didn't look back. I sat in my car for 5 minutes. Just breathing. Everything inside me felt numb. Like I was watching a movie of someone else's life. Then, out of that numbness, came clarity, cold, precise clarity. I didn't drive around aimlessly. I went straight to an extended stay hotel, not fancy, but decent. A kitchen, a couch, walls that didn't feel like home. I checked in for 2 weeks. The sofa was stiff and unwelcoming. Perfect. I opened my laptop. First order of business, I moved 75% of the funds from our joint checking account into my personal savings. I left just enough so she couldn't accuse me of leaving her stranded. Groceries. Gas. That's it. Second, I called my lawyer. I'd had this number saved for 6 months, ever since Julian's name started popping up a little too often. David, I said when he picked up, my voice steady. It's Arthur. She's on her way. The reservation's at the Grand Elysian Hotel. She's with him. I want the papers filed and I want them served at the hotel tomorrow morning. He hesitated only briefly. Arthur, are you sure? I'm sure, I said. She told me not to come back. So I won't. It's aggressive to serve her there. Not cheap either. I don't care. I want her to know exactly what she threw away. Right in the middle of her new little fantasy life. David sighed, but he didn't argue. All right. I'll handle the emergency filing and process server. Arthur, turn your phone off. It's going to get loud. I wired him the retainer, ordered a pizza to my bland little room, ate 2 slices without tasting them, and fell asleep still in my clothes. The next morning, my phone started vibrating like it was possessed. Not ringing, just a non-stop, angry buzz against the nightstand. 17 missed calls from Eleanor. 8 from Julian. 4 from her mother. And a string of text messages that looked more like keyboard rage than words. The first voicemail, 9:15 a.m., Eleanor's voice was a hissed whisper, shaking. Arthur, what is this? What the hell is this? A man just knocked on my door. He served me divorce papers. In front of Julian. Are you insane? The second, 9:18 a.m., louder. You are a psychopath. You humiliated me. Julian is my boss, Arthur. My boss. You've ruined everything. Call me back right now. You're going to fix this. The third, 9:30 a.m., she was crying now. How could you do this? We were just talking. It was a mistake. Arthur, please. I'm at the hotel. Just come here. We can talk. Okay? Please. Then Julian. 9:45 a.m. His voice oozed arrogance. Look, Arthur, old man, I think we got off on the wrong foot here. Eleanor's, emotional. Serving papers at the hotel? Low class, man. Unprofessional. Be a man. Call your wife. Let's talk this out. Delete. 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 David had been right. It got loud. I sipped bad hotel coffee, texted him, they've been served. Now what? His reply came fast. Now we lock down assets. The house was yours before marriage, right? Yes. 10 years before. Married for 3. Good. That simplifies things. But the appreciation's community property. We'll need to sell it or buy her out. I don't want the house, I typed back. It's not a home anymore. Sell it. Okay. I'll file for exclusive use so we can prep for sale. In the meantime, find a new place to live. And don't talk to her. I glanced at my phone, still vibrating like it was trying to crawl off the table. Then, I turned it off. For the first time in years, I actually turned it off. The silence that followed wasn't peaceful. It was hollow. Heavy. Real. This was it. I had just burned down my life because she'd already lit the match. And as strange as it sounds, that silence was the first honest thing between us in a long, long time. It's been 2 weeks since I walked out that door. Now, I'm living in a small, furnished one-bedroom apartment with beige walls, bland furniture, and not a single trace of my old life. No family photos. No shared toothbrushes. No memories staring back at me from the corners. And honestly, that emptiness is exactly what I need right now. The do not disturb sign on my door has basically become a part of the decor. David, my lawyer, has been my anchor through this storm. I don't take her calls. I don't answer messages. He handles everything, and apparently, what he's been dealing with is pure chaos. Eleanor and Julian cut their work trip short. They flew back the day after she got served. How do I know? Because Eleanor still had her house keys. I hadn't changed the locks. I didn't have to. I just left. She walked into that house expecting me to be waiting, maybe to fight, maybe to beg. Instead, she found nothing. No shirts in the closet. No toothbrush by the sink. No faint trace of me anywhere. I'd paid a moving crew extra to rush pack everything personal, my clothes, my books, my computer, my father's old desk. It all went into storage in less than a day. I imagine the silence of that house must have been deafening for her. Her first call wasn't to me. It was to David. Where is he? Why is all his stuff gone? Is this a joke? She demanded. David, calm as ever, replied, Mr. Hayes is securing new living arrangements, as is his right. All communication regarding the property will go through me. He can't just leave. This is my house. He has to come back and talk to me. And that's when David shut it down. Ma'am, it is legally his house, purchased prior to the marriage. We will be filing to have it sold to divide the marital appreciation as required by law. I suggest you find your own counsel. She hung up on him. Her next brilliant move? Showing up unannounced at my brother Tom's house at 10 p.m. on a Tuesday night. I hadn't even told Tom what happened yet. She pounded on his door like a cop executing a warrant. Tom called me the second she left. Arthur, what in the fresh hell is going on? Eleanor was just here. She looked like a drowned rat, crying her eyes out. Said you abandoned her and you're selling the house. I rubbed my temples, exhaustion seeping into my bones. Tom, I'm sorry. It's a long story. She cheated on me with her boss. I served her divorce papers while they were on their little getaway. There was a long silence on the other end. Well, damn, Tom finally said. That explains why she kept screaming that you were ruining her career. I thought it was a weird thing to say. Yeah, I said dryly. I'm guessing she's terrified Julian's wife is going to find out. She didn't mention the cheating part, Tom added. Just told me you were being financially abusive and emotionally unstable. I told her to go home and that we don't appreciate unannounced visits. I could practically hear the steam coming out of her ears in that moment. The entitlement was staggering. She blew up our marriage and still tried to paint herself as the victim to my family. But then came the real grenade. David called me yesterday. His voice was tired in that way lawyers get when they know something's about to get ugly. Arthur, he said, you're not going to like this. Miss Vance has filed a motion for an emergency restraining order. My stomach dropped. What? On what grounds? I haven't even seen or spoken to her in 2 weeks. She's alleging a history of coercive control. Claims you managed the finances to keep her dependent. That leaving the house was an act of dispossessing her, leaving her homeless and penniless. And that serving her at the hotel was a deliberate act to terrorize her, causing panic attacks and emotional distress. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. She's lying, I said, my voice shaking. She's the one who cheated. She's the one who told me not to come back. I know, David replied calmly. Her claims are weak. But we have to show up. The hearing's tomorrow morning. Be there, and be calm. The next day, I stood in the courthouse hallway, the air stale and fluorescent. I wore the one suit I'd pulled from storage. My palms were damp. I felt like I was walking into a bad dream. Eleanor was already there, sitting next to a woman who looked like a corporate shark in heels. Eleanor had gone for the fragile victim aesthetic, no makeup, messy bun, soft sweater. She even flinched dramatically when she saw me, like she was auditioning for a soap opera. Inside the courtroom, her lawyer went first, spinning a story that made me sound like some monster who abandoned his poor, helpless wife. She claimed I'd cut her off financially, left her destitute, and traumatized her with a public humiliation at her workplace. Miss Vance is in fear for her safety, the shark intoned. Mr. Hayes's actions were erratic and punitive. Serving her at her place of work caused severe emotional trauma. David stood next. Cool, controlled, unshakable. Your Honor, he began. My client has not seen or spoken to Miss Vance since August 14th. He left the marital home after Miss Vance told him, and I quote, if you walk out that door, don't you dare come back. He simply complied. He slid a few documents onto the judge's bench. As for the place of work, Miss Vance was at the Grand Elysian Hotel with her boss, Mr. Julian Croft. Here is the reservation in both their names. Here is the email confirming my client left the house while she remained. And here, he added, handing over another paper, is the joint bank account statement. My client left funds, which Miss Vance emptied into her personal account less than 24 hours after being served. Then, the knockout punch. My client is not controlling Miss Vance. He's disentangling himself from an admitted case of infidelity. You could have heard a pin drop. Eleanor's lawyer's face tightened. The judge, an older woman who clearly didn't suffer fools, peered over her glasses at Eleanor. Miss Vance, are you currently employed? Yes, Your Honor, Eleanor mumbled. And are you currently homeless? I'm staying with a friend. The house, which your counsel admits is his separate property, is being sold. You are entitled to your share of marital appreciation. This is a divorce matter, not grounds for a restraining order. I see no evidence of harassment. In fact, I see evidence of you harassing his family. Motion denied. Next case. Eleanor's face turned crimson. She looked at me, and what burned in her eyes wasn't heartbreak. It was pure, unfiltered hatred. As I walked past her, I heard her hiss at her lawyer through gritted teeth. Get me that house. I don't care what you have to do. Get me my house. And in that moment, it hit me, this wasn't about love. It never had been. This was about control. And she'd just lost it, the house turned into the battlefield. After that restraining order stunt flopped, Eleanor's legal team changed gears. They couldn't grab the house outright, it was legally mine before we ever said, I do, but they could make selling it an absolute nightmare. And that's exactly what they tried to do. My realtor, Sarah, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who looks like she runs on espresso and spreadsheets, had the place staged and listed faster than I thought possible. The photos looked incredible, sun through the windows, tasteful staging, that lived in but not lived in feeling realtors like to promise. Within days we had a clean offer. Young family, no contingencies, way over asking. It felt like the finish line. Then the injunction hit. Their claim was ridiculous on its face, or at least it should have been. Eleanor's lawyer said she still had significant personal property in the home that hadn't been catalogued or returned, and that the sale must be stopped until she could recover it. It read like a plot point from a bad drama. I called David, expecting him to laugh and tell me it would be dismissed. What property? I asked, already knowing the answer. I thought you let her take her stuff, he said. I did. She had a full weekend. Her mother and sister loaded a U-Haul, I replied. They took her dishes, her grandmother's china, the obvious things. David's voice dropped. She's claiming you stole or hid several items. Specifically, an antique armchair, her grandmother's china, and something called the celestial weave. I nearly dropped the phone. The celestial weave was the name she'd given that gigantic monstrosity she'd commissioned 2 years ago, 10 feet of tangled copper piping, colored glass, and driftwood, bolted straight into the living room wall. It was loud. It was absurd. I hated it the second it went up. Everyone hated it. It wasn't art, it was a structural problem. I have photos from the realtor pre-staging, I told David. The dining room was empty. The china was gone. The weave is bolted into the studs. It's part of the wall. Yeah, David said, slow and tired. She isn't trying to get her knickknacks back. She's trying to tank the sale. And tank the sale she almost did. The buyers were spooked. Their mortgage rate lock was ticking down. We were back in court. Eleanor showed up in the courthouse looking like she'd been directed by a costume consultant. No makeup, messy bun, sweater, the whole I'm fragile act. Her lawyer, who'd clearly watched a lot of courtroom TV, painted the weave as a priceless custom heirloom and accused me of trying to offload it to spite her. David was ready. Calm, clipped, composed, the exact opposite of the chaotic roars in my head. Your Honor, he said, we're happy to return the celestial weave to Miss Vance. Eleanor and her counsel exchanged smug looks. Victory moment, right? Not quite. But, David continued, producing a packet of documents like a magician pulling scarves from a sleeve, it is legally a fixture, bolted to the structure. We obtained a contractor's quote to have it professionally removed, the wall repaired, and painted. Cost, $4,800. We will remove it and deliver the piece to Miss Vance and deduct the expense from her share of the proceeds. Her smile evaporated. No, it has to be removed carefully, her lawyer protested. This is the careful quote, David said, sliding the paper toward the judge, who peered at the photo of the weave like she'd just been handed a Rorschach test gone wrong. We also have a removal quote from a junk hauler, $600. Your choice, madam. The judge didn't have patience for theatrics. Counselor, she said to Eleanor's lawyer, this is junk. You are wasting the court's time. Either your client pays for the professional removal or forfeits the piece. The sale will proceed. It should have been the end of it. We should have celebrated with mediocre coffee and a sense of righteous exhaustion. Instead, the fallout went nuclear. My phone rang with a number I recognized before I even looked. Gerald Vance, Eleanor's father. He did not sound like a man who says things he doesn't mean. Is this Arthur Hayes? He barked. Speaking, I said, my chest tightening. This is Gerald Vance. What kind of sick game are you playing, boy? You think you can embarrass my daughter and throw her out on the street? I'll make sure you never work in this town again. He hung up. No pleasantries. No threats softened by friendly tone. Just the click of a line that felt like the dropping of a gauntlet. A week later my boss called me into his office like a scene from a slow-burning horror movie. Mark looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight, avoiding eye contact. Arthur, he said, careful, I got a call from Gerald Vance. He's not happy. He said you're unstable, going through a messy divorce, harassing his daughter. He implied that if we keep you on, his company will take their business elsewhere. My mouth went dry. The corporate equivalent of a slap. This guy ran a chain of dealerships and had friends everywhere. One phone call from him and suddenly the world I'd been clinging to, my job, my reputation, could be gone. Mark, he's lying, I said, my voice under a strain. She cheated on me. I'm divorcing her. Call my lawyer. Ask him for the facts. Mark rubbed his forehead. I don't care about the facts, Arthur. I care about quarterlies. He didn't disguise the pity. Or the warning. I also hate bullies. Gerald's been leaning on our vendors for years. Off the record? Watch your back. This guy plays dirty. Keep this drama out of the office. I dodged one bullet, but I could feel the next one whistling. The stress ate at me. Sleep evaporated. My belt notch moved inward. I lost 15 pounds without meaning to. It wasn't a clean win, it felt like surviving an ambush and getting up, bloodied, to face a dozen more. And while the house sale dragged forward in fits and starts, every ring of the phone, every email, every courthouse appearance felt like a small explosion. Eleanor wasn't just fighting for an artwork or a china set. She was fighting to make life unbearable, for me, for anyone who'd side with me, for the people I worked with and the things I had built. I stared at the plastered wall where the weave once threw ugly shadows. I imagined the drywall crew prying metal and glass free, the dust in the air, the thud of the removal truck. I tried to picture the buyer signing the contract, the moving vans pulling up, the last box being carried out. But there was another call I hadn't been expecting, one that made my stomach flip in a way the courtroom hadn't. It was from an unknown number, and when I answered, the voice on the other end was low and deliberate. "We can make this go away," he said. "For a price." My hand tightened on the phone. The air felt suddenly far too thin. It's over. The divorce was finalized last week, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I can breathe without waiting for the next legal ambush. We didn't end up going to trial, which, honestly, might have been the one small mercy in this entire mess. After the celestial weave circus and her father's failed attempt to nuke my job, Eleanor's side finally caved and agreed to mediation. I think even her lawyer realized by then that every time Eleanor opened her mouth in a courtroom, it cost her leverage. The mediation itself was 8 straight hours I will never get back. 8 hours of lawyers, numbers, and tension you could slice with a butter knife. David and I walked in together. Eleanor was already seated with her attorney, and, because apparently she lives to make things surreal, Julian was in the waiting area. Rubbing her back. Fetching her coffee. Like some kind of supportive rom-com side character, except this wasn't a rom-com, it was a war. The main fight was, as expected, over money. The house had finally sold, despite every trick Eleanor tried to pull. The appreciation was $180,000. Her share? $90,000. Then her lawyer launched their opening volley. Miss Vance is requesting rehabilitative alimony for a period of 5 years. She suffered extreme professional and emotional damage as a result of this trauma. Her career prospects have been impacted. David didn't even blink. Impacted? She's still employed by the man sitting in your lobby, he said coolly. In fact, you provided us with her most recent pay stub, showing a 10% raise after the trip. What exactly is she being compensated for? Her lawyer cleared her throat. The trauma of the divorce. David leaned back in his chair. A divorce she initiated. Through infidelity. No alimony. Then came the assets. It was tedious. She got the couch, the dining set, the patio furniture. I kept my dad's desk, the good mattress, and the TV. I'd call that fair. But then, the celestial we've reared its ugly, copper and glass head again. My client, her lawyer announced, has forfeited the art piece but expects to be compensated for its appraised value, $30,000. She slid an official appraisal across the table. I glanced at the gallery name, one I'd never heard of. The curator who signed it was, if I remembered correctly, one of Eleanor's art school friends. I almost laughed out loud. David didn't even bother pretending to respect it. He slid a paper back. This, he said evenly, is the closing statement from the house sale. The buyers lived with the piece for 1 week. They then paid to have it removed. Behind it, they discovered a significant patch of water damage that had been hidden, damage we believe was intentionally covered. We had to credit them $10,000 for mold remediation and repair. We're deducting half of that, $5,000, from her $90,000 share. Eleanor's lawyer went pale. Eleanor herself just stared at David like he'd slapped her. You can't do that, she stammered. That's criminal. You damaged the house. David didn't even raise his voice. Ma'am, the damage was there before the piece went up. She covered it. That's fraud. And then came the math. Her $90,000 was chipped down with every carefully documented expense. $5,000 for the mold credit she caused. $2,400 for her share of the cost to remove the weave. $7,000 in credit card charges for personal post-separation spending, luxury clothes for her work trip wardrobe, every single receipt lined up in a neat little folder David brought like a loaded gun. When all was said and done, her grand total. $75,600. She stared at the number like it was a personal betrayal. Her voice cracked. This isn't fair. I put my stamp on that house. I made it beautiful. That's worth something. David snapped his binder shut. It's worth $75,600. Eleanor shot out of her chair so fast the legs screeched across the floor. Her face was flushed, shaking with rage. You'll regret this, Arthur. You'll be alone forever. You're a cold, empty shell of a man. She stormed out of the room, past Julian. He looked uncomfortable. Maybe guilty. Maybe just realizing the fun secret phase was officially over. He glanced at me, opened his mouth like he might say something. Don't, I said. Just one word. That was all. He nodded, then followed her. So that's it. The papers are signed. The $75,600 has been transferred. The house is gone. My life, the one that existed with her, is officially dismantled. I'm still in the beige apartment, but the air in it feels different now. Not warm, not triumphant, just quiet. It isn't a victory. I lost 3 years of my life. I lost my home. I lost someone I once loved fiercely. I'm still paying off legal bills, and my boss still side-eyes me every now and then. But I'm not tied to a liar. I'm not financing her little fairy tale with her boss. I'm free. And then there's the kicker. Julian's wife found out, not from me, but from someone at their company. He got transferred to another branch. Eleanor's back living with her parents. Turns out, being a fun secret doesn't translate well into being someone's public mess. The final text came the day the money hit her account. A new number. I hope that $75,000 was worth it. You destroyed my life over money. I just stared at it. Even now, she didn't get it. She never would. I forwarded the message to David, blocked the number, and went back to unpacking the last of my boxes from storage. It's not a happy ending. But it's an ending. And it's mine.